Hey everybody, it's Janice with Creating Through Chaos. I'm going to start this project off with this palette sign that I bought at Family Dollar. I'm just going to take the tags off and the sticker off of it. And I am going to start by painting the top slat with some deep burgundy. And I did the edges and in between also. Then once I had that done, I'm going to do the bottom palette slat, the same color red. And again, getting the edges and the ends. Once the two red ones were done and dry, I'm going to do the center one in the color Almondine. And I'm also going to do the edges and the sides on that as well. Once I have all of those done, I'm going to take my sander, once they were all dry, and sand off all of the edges around each one of the palette slats. And I'm going to do this on all three of them, just making sure that I distress them enough on all the edges. Once I have them all sanded, I am going to take some antique wax and a paintbrush and just go in between each slat with the antique wax on those little parts that hold the three slats together. And I did the back as well. Then I'm going to take my applicator and do the antique wax all over each of the slats. So I started with the top one and just kind of making my way down, making sure I get those edges and running it across. And you can make this as dark or light as you want. You can wipe off the excess with a baby wipe or a paper towel. I wanted it to be sort of rustic, so I'm going to just keep going ahead and I'm not going to wipe off any of the excess. Making sure I get those edges so everything is stained. Once that's all done, I'm going to set that aside. And I got this star with this corrugated metal background, and I got this at Family Dollar also. And I am just going to paint that center of the star, the wooden part, with some blue paint. It's a deep midnight blue. And I'm not going to do the edges on this because the edges were stained, so I'm just going to do the top of the star. Once I had that all done, I am going to take these 5 wooden beads and I'm going to put them on a piece of tape on my paint mat, and I'm going to paint those all with the same color, deep midnight blue. And these are just very small half wood beads. I'm not sure of the size because I bought a variety pack of beads and they were several different sizes. So I just used the smallest ones I had. Once the star was dry, I'm going to sand off all of the edges on that. Just going around the whole thing, sanding each little edge. Once I have those all sanded, I'm going to take my antique wax and antique wax the top of the star and those little edges that I just sanded as well. Then I am going to take some antique wax and put some onto the corrugated metal around the star. So I'm just going to take my dauber and just kind of pat it into the antique wax and then go around and pounce it onto the star, right around the edges of all that corrugated metal. Kind of trying to tone down how shiny that is in contrast to everything else that I've done on this project so far. I'm just making sure that I get all the way around. Then I'm going to take my sander and I'm going to sand off some of the paint on these beads. So just a little bit, very lightly sanding. Once I have enough taken off, I'm just going to put a little antique wax on those as well. Once they were dry, I'm going to take them and start gluing them to each one of the ends of the star. And I'm doing this because I had that hole in it from the hanger and I'm not going to reuse the hanger. So I wanted something that was going to cover that hole up and still look nice. And I thought this was a perfect solution for that, just putting little beads on each one. Plus it looked really nice with the star and the other blue. So it just worked out perfectly. So once I have those all done, I am going to take that and I am going to glue that to my palette. So I'm just going to kind of put it a little bit sitting on sideways on my palette. Just making sure I line it up. And it's a little bit tilted, which is what I wanted. Once I had that all done, I took a piece of burlap and I'm just going to glue that to the bottom right of this palette. And then I had a piece of muslin that I had coffee stained. I'm just making sure that that's on there well. And I'm going to take some stamps and stamp out the word or the letters USA on this piece of muslin. I'm just going to press that down. And then I am going to glue that right over that piece of burlap. And you can use any stamps that you have. You could stencil it on. It's totally up to you. Once that is glued on, this project is finished. I think this turned out so super cute. I absolutely love it. And I love the star and the palette from Family Dollar. I hope you enjoyed this project. Thank you for watching. And as always, don't forget to spread the chaos.